Hey guys, MouldyFishSticks here. You already know my opinion if you've seen my previous videos, but in those videos you all gave me your opinions as well on Entropy 02. And there was a small yet surprising minority of gamers that left me hurt, sad, appalled, dismayed, and a handful of other synonyms pulled from Google. A surprise that some cannot come to grips with. I know after this realization I pooped, peed, and maybe cummed a little. Just a little. Not everyone loves this game. In fact, some people hate it. So I'll just read out some comments that I received, while not showing anyone's name, as I don't aim to name and shame people, but simply try to understand other people's points of view, while understanding that everyone is able to experience and perceive things entirely different than me. And all the while reading these comments out to you and subjecting you to boundless agony and pain, I'll play calming and methodical piano instrumentals in the background so that we can all come out of this with nothing but love and empathy for the world. User said, "Game is kinda eh." Yeah, well, you can go fuck yourself, you slimy son of a bitch. Now, in all honesty, this is what I hear a lot when it comes to people disliking the game. They simply say it's mid or mediocre and way too overhyped, but since a lot of these nice, good-loving neighbors don't give a reason why, I can't really have a response to this simple complaint without giving a simple rebuttal. No. It is still incomprehensible to me how many can think this mod is even good or outstanding. There must be some kind of mass hypnosis or brainwashing behind it! Exclamation mark. This reminds me of another comment I'll get to later on, where someone thought they were on crazy pills seeing the massive love for this game while they didn't like it. And even though I can't agree, I can definitely understand that feeling, as I hated Stray, and being bombarded with positive reactions on YouTube and Steam, I was just straight up confused, and I thought I was going insane. Maybe people, myself included, tend to latch onto all the negative aspects of a game and get locked into a self-induced echo chamber while not appreciating the good things the game has to offer, but that's a bit of a stretch to say. Obviously, people have had different reactions to this game, and I'll get into more of the prevalent reasons why, more specifically two main ones that people go into deeper detail about, and in this video I want to focus mainly on those two opinions many people have when it comes to this mod. Are you ready? Here we go. User Y. It contradicts a lot of Half-Life lore and overall doesn't belong in a Half-Life game, because there is nothing super specific in the plot that keeps it attached to the Half-Life universe. User Z. It breaks the lore in-game, and overall the story is retarded. User X. To me, the mod overstepped its bounds in terms... To me, the mod overstepped its bounds in terms of the story and canon of Half-Life lore. And then he continued... And then he continued on, "I'm sorry, but if you're going to pull something like that, involve such significant plot devices and central characters, it absolutely needs to be developed by Valve and needs their stamp. But that's just me. I would have preferred my piece of fan fiction more detached from the main plotline." So as you can see, there is some merit to their arguments to do with their dislikes of the game, and it does make sense why this is a valid opinion. Half-Life 2 was a masterpiece in itself, and people have fallen in love and have become extremely knowledgeable with the lore as a whole. So I can understand why touching this masterpiece and changing the lore is problematic, but personally, I have some strong opinions on this take as well. I loved Half-Life 2, and aside from Alex fueling the fire with an amazing game itself, it did not continue or expand on the adventure as much as I would have wanted, and this is what I feel Entropy 02 did. I'll say it again, I loved Half-Life 2 as a primary school kid. This is how long we've been waiting to finally see an expansion, or to actually see and go onto the Borealis itself. I think the story fits itself quite well into the events of Half-Life 2 and its episodes, with the capture of Judith Mossman and the Combine's race to get to the Borealis first. I think they wanted to branch off and change the way elite Combine soldiers are viewed upon, and how Aiden Walker is seen as an exception to the flock. We've seen this with opposing forces. The military never failed to mindlessly follow orders and kill the scientists in Black Mesa during Half-Life 1, whereas General Shepard thought outside the box. Granted, it's a lot different for a Marine corporal not to follow orders, as they never undergo biological altering that turns them into mindless robots, but remember, Aiden Walker never had this happen to him in Entropy 01 because he was a Combine cop, not an Overwatch soldier, and since his behavior proved to be dangerous yet useful for the advisor, the overlords probably gambled with him keeping his faculties and seeing if he was able to complete a task that they've struggled with, because Aiden Walker can not only do crazy shit, but he can do crazy shit all by himself. Gordon Freeman and Adrian Shepard are exactly the same in this aspect, but don't forget the advisor, no matter what happens, will remove his memories and faculties regardless of the outcome. This only means he's an exception to the law for a brief period of time, so long as they see fit. Half-Life 2 never had Opposing Force 2, where they delved into the Combine cops or Overwatch's viewpoints, and if it played out like Opposing Force, the bad guy may not actually be the bad guy and follow similar footsteps as Entropy 02. However, you need to remember the obvious. This game isn't canon, and it has never tried to be. I honestly think they were just trying to provide a fun and enjoyable Entropy 02 story that also filled that void of craving for Half-Life 3. And I won't disagree with the point that since Valve aren't involved and this isn't their vision they planned, it could be seen as an overstep to call this a Half-Life 3. Although you need to keep in mind that changing the lore and throwing new things into the story is something that Valve themselves have definitely done. There are those that believe that Half-Life 2 is a great game but a bad sequel to Half-Life 1, and those people have valid arguments as well. Half-Life 2, although following the same adventure, drastically changed and removed a lot of the elements that Half-Life 1 had and was leading up to. However, there seems to be another problem that a lot of people have had, and to say this is a problem for people in general makes me feel like I'm popping those crazy pills, because this is one of the greatest aspects of the game in my opinion. This has to do with the voice acting and script and story plot. User X says, when game launches there's a trigger warning that the gamer is about to play as the bad guy. I mean, WTF, I uninstalled and forgot that crap exists. User Z said, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I actually had to quit playing Entropy 02 about 45 minutes in because the dialogue and story was so cliche, cringe, contrived, etc. And he continues on, it felt like I was playing a tongue-in-cheek satire of Half-Life, closer to something like Duke Nukem. Watch out, this guy is a badass, and he's got nothing to lose. User Y said, I heavily disagree with the story being anywhere remotely good, even after playing it thrice to get all the endings. Then he continues on, they didn't need to craft this edgy backstory for the protagonist. Not gonna lie, I've seen the same complaints numerous times about the voiced protagonist. A lot of users on Steam referring to him as the we live in a society guy who seems cringy and edgy and talks way too much. And at first when I read these complaints, I simply brushed it off as them trying to seem cool for not liking something that everyone else likes, but then I got reminded myself that there's heaps of games and movies that are loved worldwide that I didn't enjoy either, and there are even famous actors that everyone loves and gets baffled to find out that I can't stand them. So really this was all bound to happen from the start, and I'm really bringing this up because it's hard to argue with subjective takes on a story, scripting, or voice acting. I enjoyed how much Bad Cop talked, and especially when you get to the poker table, I just stood there for ages, waiting for him to speak his next line because I thought the script was both funny and bountiful, while I believe Trivy did a remarkable job. I felt like his edginess was pulled off, seeing as it seemed like an original take on playing an antagonist. He wasn't a basic edgelord for the sake of being an edgelord. It was perfectly balanced in regards to his backstory and being a Combine elite who kept his faculties. Just think about that. In his own mind, he's in the highest position you could possibly get within this universe. All the while he gets the privilege to have his personality and general sentience intact. He killed 5 other Combine soldiers and got let off scot-free before even being promoted. Of course, he'd be cocky and brutish. He's above everyone else he works with and stronger than everyone he fights with. He even whooped 2 bosses all alone in Entropy 01, even though he's loyal to the Combine since they're the only reason he's able to keep these privileges. This wouldn't hurt his massive, bulging ego. He's where he wants to be, and he can get away with doing anything, even fucking your mum. You can even kill other elite Overwatch soldiers and no one bats an eye because you're not to be fucked with. Again, I can see how this hurts the lore of the Half-Life universe, but in a sense, with all the given context, it's entirely possible to happen. This story did a remarkable job in showing how some psychomaniac could hate the world, then in the end redeem themselves, and I feel the character dynamic between Wilson and Bad Cop was way more than just a comedy relief. Wilson displayed many themes of humanity within Aiden Walker that he was suppressing, and it goes to show that no matter how far gone you are in your own head with your ego, with whatever you've lost in life, I thought the whole script was masterfully written in that sense. Redemption. The script as a whole, in my personal opinion, was amazing. The scripting of Bad Cop, Clone Cop, even getting voice quips from Judith to fit well in relevant scenes. The advisor was incredibly written and voice acted as well. As a whole, the voice acting and script was phenomenal. I've said that many times, but this is just my opinion. And many other opinions as well, and people can definitely find something cringy that others enjoy. As for the story and endings, I feel that all of them have their own role to play, either choosing humanity and morality over loyalty. Both of these main endings fit so well and rewards people for choosing a better path in saving Wilson. To get those post credits after all the effort you go through to keep Wilson alive and developing a strong bond with was extremely rewarding. It was extremely relieving and extremely fucking awesome. This had to be one of the best stories in a video game, period. But like I said, this is just my opinion. And that is why I still believe it's a strong Game of the Year contender. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay safe, stay sexy, stay humble. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Suck your nipple.